Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from Estate Gamers, and welcome. Now, by popular request by a lot of you guys, you wanted to see more sort of server-style defenses and situations that you'd actually get yourself into on a server. Now, say you didn't want to build a secret base like we did last time. Maybe you wanted something a little bit high profile. Maybe you got a lot of guys, and you're not really too worried. You can build a lot of turrets, a lot of defenses. Then you're going to come up with something like this. And since we've been playing on the server the last 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to be showing you some sort of attacks that we've been getting and the solutions that we've had for them. Now, the first and most common attack in Space Engineers is players digging underground. What they do is they dig underground into your base, they come up below, plant explosives on the bottom of the building and blow it up. And that is extremely frustrating because you've just spent all that time and effort resourcing, management and so on, and grabbing each one of these turrets that you place on top just for some guy to dig under the ground and place that. Now, there's a lot of different solutions that you could do. You could put it up high, you could make the base hover, but if you still want that grounded sort of feel, this is what you can do. You can start by placing a minefield. So over here, I've actually got myself a minefield underground, and if there is any sort of disruption at this level, the sensors will blow up and it'll trigger a little bit of an explosion that should alert me to the area or even kill the diggers. Now, this is also great for if there's vehicles on the surface level above, but I'll show you that a little bit later on. Now, the second little thing you'll notice that there's actually a trench surrounding this outpost going around the outside. Now, this is great for stopping vehicles, but at the same time, diggers will dig their way into the trench, and you can see I've got these little turrets hanging over the side, so as they push in through that wall, the turret will eliminate them. Now, what about if they're really smart? They've reconned it and realized that there is a trench there. Well, we move on to the next little thing. You can see I've got these little boxes underneath here, and I've not filled every single one of these boxes up with a turret, but I have placed turrets in a number of them. So you can see there's actually one stuck in the floor there, and I had a little bit of lag with these, so I've actually popped a lot of them out and turned off the reactors in some of them. So you can see there's another turret actually in this one as well, and the idea is they'll dig into these tunnels while they're trying to get underneath my base. The turret will engage them, we'll hear the shots underneath, or it might even kill them, and there's so many boxes under here that you've got to run into one of them. So that was our solution with getting rid of some of the diggers. Now, the other solution was coming up with an ideal sort of base design idea and how to spread out all the utilities without getting them wrecked all at once. Having one building just gets all your resources pounded at once. So we've got a refinery room. So here's our refinery building. We've got an assembly room to the left, and then above we have a vehicle dock, as well as a second building that is yet to have a purpose. We always found ourselves needing a building where we could just quickly build vehicles and get things out of the base quickly, so that's what that building ended up being for. Now, in the center, we build ourselves a massive bunker. So this is actually a 2-level thick blast door reinforced sort of concrete bunker with everything that you need inside. So we've got the whole storage for the base in here, as well as the reactors. The floor is double reinforced, and the whole idea of this is to keep our supplies and our things safe. We've even got turrets in here in case someone gets inside, but really they shouldn't be getting in there with the other levels of defense outside the base. Now, you're noticing that these little pylons up here above. Now, imagine that you're a fighter, you're flying across here. They used a similar sort of tactic in World War I. They had these strong steel cables actually hung up to barrage balloons, but in this case, this will slow a sort of fighter from zipping past, engaging targets quickly. He's going to have to slow down or try to twist and navigate himself around these poles, and these poles are strong enough that if a fighter does hit one at any velocity, that it will rip his little craft apart completely. Anyway, let's get on to having a bit of an experiment around with a few things around the base. So we've tested this out on the server side, and we found it to be very effective. We've actually got a small micro Henry here, and you can see how difficult it is to see them pylons. And imagine if I'm trying to engage multiple targets here and I come around, Henry himself is actually drifting quite a lot, and I'm going to struggle to actually evade past a lot of them different pylons. So if we just slow Henry down and we try to cut our way through that field, it's going to be very hard not to catch one if I just evade very closely. I can do it, but that is extra concentration that I'm going to need away from actually fighting. So if we imagine that we're trying to target one of these turrets with our Gatling guns, for instance, you can see we're drifting a little bit to the side. So we're trying to engage that Gatling gun there, but we've got to evade the fire at the same time. We're going to really struggle to get through this netting area and take out them targets at the same time without ramming ourselves into one of them pylons itself. So you can see that them turrets would have absolutely shredded us. Now let's just do a quick test and we'll just drive straight into a pylon from a little bit of a distance at quite a high velocity. Henry, of course, is not the best ship to do this test because his cockpit's right at the front, but we'll just see what sort of damage we get from actually hitting one of these pylons at speed. You can see it's took off one engine, took off the other engine on the other side. We're still flying, but the damage is quite critical, and you can also see them pylons haven't fallen down. They've not received enough damage, so they can wreck a few different fighters. Something to consider that's really cheap, and it does seem quite stupid, but it works. It's a tactic that you can use to defend your base, and if you hit one dead on, it will completely destroy your fighter like that. Beautiful. Anyway, let's test out that minefield. When we were doing some testing on the server and we were being attacked, vehicle attacks were very sort of uncommon, but when they did happen, the turrets just shredded through whatever the attackers threw at us in seconds. So the minefield's not super useful for that. It's more for dealing with the tunnelers by having that sensor on each one of the warheads. But let's actually zoom out and we'll detonate one of the explosives. So I'm just going to detonate a singular explosive just to see what sort of damage we'll look for. So you can see one of the mines there taking quite a nice little chunk out of the terrain. And since we've got it connected up in a certain way, even though that one mine has gone off, we've still got enough connection points with the rest of the minefield without the rest of that field being detonated. So let's actually detonate the rest of the minefield, so make sure it's armed, and we hit 4. Okay, that's the rest of that minefield detonated completely. So you can see, let's just have a quick look what we've actually got left. We've got nothing, no vehicles at all would really withstand that. It looks like we've got a light bulb or something off one of the vehicles down here, but you can definitely tell that someone has come to attack the base and they've not survived. The only problem with using a minefield in this manner is the area around your base will soon become just a craterful sort of area where enemies can actually hide in, so you might want to take that in consideration. Anyway, these are just some sort of simple, very simple ideas on how to defend your base. But anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed that, something a little bit different, and make sure you protect your bases on your server. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.